On the political side, we have to look for a homegrown Misake Milli, the same political covenant which was torn. We need to develop a homegrown Misake Milli in Afghanistan through interaction with saner elements of the same Taliban, which I've been saying since 2001. Deal with the Pashtuns. We cannot rule Afghanistan with a minority of Panjshiris who are maybe only 8% of Afghanistan. There are, if you go anyone days to go to Afghanistan, if you land at the airport, you see portraits, life-size portraits of Ahmad Shah Massoud. And on the roundabouts also you see the same, in their offices you see the same. Ahmad Shah Massoud is not a hero to the Pashtuns. So we are imposing somebody over the vast majority and pushing them and alienating them. Not a correct strategy. In Pakistan, we need to, on the political side, we need to go for deals with the saner elements in the tribal agencies. Now this raises a lot of eyebrows here in the West, I know that. And accusations of double deals and etc. even came against me. Ladies and gentlemen, we must understand that military can only create an environment for you and buy time for you. Ultimate solution of any dispute has to come through political means. Now, when we talk of political means, when we talk of deals with the saner elements, what I've been telling everyone, and I would like to tell you, there have to be 4 elements in that deal. Number 1, no Al-Qaeda in your area. Number 2, no cross-border Taliban activity. Number 3, a penalty for violators. Number 4, a mechanism to ensure the penalty. If these 4 elements are there, it must be signed, the deal. Even if it fails, doesn't matter, you will get some people onto your side, and that is the way forward. So eyebrows must not be raised when there are deals with saner elements of the militants. Because we cannot go on indefinitely through the military means alone. The last element is the socio-economic side, and that needs finances. And there were a lot of agreements with the United States in my time, like ROZs, reconstruction opportunity zones, like money for the development, socio-economic development of the tribal agencies. I will skip that. But what I want to say in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is a victim of circumstances over the last 30 years. It is not the perpetrator of Al-Qaeda and Taliban and extremism and terrorism. We are a victim and we have to fight it. We need support and understanding. The third element of terrorism extremism is Talibanization. These are things that Pakistan is facing: Al-Qaeda, Taliban, and then Talibanization. Talibanization being spread by the obscurantist Taliban into the settled districts of the frontier province. And you saw the operation in Swat. May I just say that the people of Swat are moderate, they are against the Taliban. This was proved in February 2008 in our elections, where the religious groups were all defeated and a very moderate ANP won 95% of the seats. But it was later subsequent unfortunate actions of political actions of appeasing the Taliban subsequently when the political government came in that led to the resurgence of the Taliban in Swat. And therefore a stronger military action went in now, because of which 2 million refugees and many casualties were suffered. But one good thing emerged out of it. Because of the atrocities by the Taliban in Swat, the people of Pakistan and the media of Pakistan is totally behind the army now to defeat and crush the Taliban. That is a good that came about from the bad that followed after the elections of 2008. Lastly is the element of extremism in Pakistan society. Because of poverty and illiteracy, yes indeed, there is an element which is extremist in the society. Unfortunately, this element to an extent is being ignored. There has to be a strategy, and there was a strategy which we had launched, a 5-point strategy, which I will skip, but this has to be addressed so that we defeat or push extremism backwards, because it is extremism which spawns terrorism. Having said this much, I would be remiss if I did not talk about one more factor, and that is the India factor. Now, unfortunately, I being from Pakistan and I being a military man, I know there must be some Indian students here. We have to face facts if we want to defeat terrorism in a holistic manner. There is extremism spreading in the Muslim youth in India, and the Kashmir dispute still remains brewing. Why is there extremism in the Muslim youth in India? Organization like SIME, SIME, the Student Islamic Movement of India. In an India Today magazine, 2008 was declared the worst year from bombing point of view, and 550 casualties were suffered in India. And I'm quoting India Today magazine, the most prestigious. And in that, they have shown in a chart, 6 out of those 8 was by local mujahideen. So therefore, we must not behave like ostriches. We must see the realities that is happening there also. That is spreading, this extremism is spreading because of a sense of alienation within the Muslim youth. Sense of frustration because of unequal opportunities and being sidelined. And over and above, a degree of oppression when 3,000 Muslims were killed in Gujarat, or the Ayodhya mosque was destroyed. This is leading to extremism. Now, why I want to highlight this is, if we do not address the India factor, they are developing nexus with the Pakistani extremists. And we will face a more serious situation in the future. I would like you to mark my words. So therefore, when we are talking of terrorism and extremism, we have to take India, Pakistan, Afghanistan together. If we don't, we are not addressing it in a holistic manner. That much for terrorism and extremism. The other international issue was nuclear concerns, and I will talk about them in a very brief manner. The greatest international concerns are twofold. One is the nuclear flashpoint of India, Pakistan, because the wars that we fought, because every 1 or 2 years we come near war. In 2002, the Indian forces were massed against our borders, and frankly, I moved the entire army and air force against the Indian forces. We were near war. And it was, I would give credit to quite an extent to the government here. And General Colin Powell also, my friend, who used to ring up maybe every 2 or 3 days, and we used to talk very frankly with each other, and he used to ring up Indian leadership also to diffuse the situation. But what I am trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, this is an explosive situation which must be avoided.